What inspired you to be an actor?
My life and my experience. I survived the Blood Diamond War in Sierra Leone. I was given up by my parents to a stranger that they met at the camp to go to live in Senegal. My parents found me a couple years later, and I'm an only child. So I've lived in so many different countries. I've always had just me because my parents are too busy working. So I didn't know that was how acting was I'd go into my own little world and be a Princess Sia or be, angry Sia. I'd be different Sias and I'd act it out, and that's just what I was doing. But when I grew up, I was like, okay, I need to go to school, I need to do this. I went and took psychology and social work, and I worked with newcomers in Canada, and their stories that I heard and I kept thinking to myself, this would be amazing if I could play parts and tell the world these stories, And I know there are writers out there that can do this, and that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just dropping out of university and gonna go to school, and from there I got a scholarship to go to 2 different film schools, and now here I am. Yeah, I went to Vancouver Film School in Canada. I got a part-time scholarship there, and then New York Film Academy saw my work, and I got a part scholarship for that, so not a full, but some of it, and came out here.
Gosh, so many people. I mean, I grew up. I watched a lot of films. The greats, Denzel Washington. Everyone wants to be, especially an African American actor, wants to be like Denzel Washington. I really, really look up to Forest Whitaker as well. And lately, I've been getting so obsessed with Morgan Freeman. Everything about him on camera just like screams this passion and this like raw energy. And I love his work. But it's like in my personal life, I always wanted to do it. I grew up on a farm, so I didn't have that outlet where I'm from. And then I got into like some things in high school, and then when I got into college, I auditioned for my first play and I got like one of the lead roles, and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. So it's a weird path.
But only because it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And first you have your parents' ideas of what you want to be when you grow up. And then you start thinking, well, I don't know what I want to be. And I liked acting because you could be anything. And I thought, oh, they'll be happy because I'm everything. Like, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, oh, I'm a kid, I'm this, I'm that. And I really love that about acting. And my grandmother, she was the only one who really supported me when I initially said, hey, I want to act. She had me in the church plays, and she had me doing spoken word contests, and she really embraced it and wasn't like, oh, you're not going to make any money. And I thought that was great. So I guess my grandma, in a way.
When I was a kid, I loved Disney movies, and I always it's cliche, but I always dreamed of being like the first Filipino princess. That sounds so funny. I still have the dream till now, but I always dreamed of just being like the cute voiceover of a princess or something. So after watching Disney movies, I told myself at a young age, I felt that I just love to sing and love to act, and then I told my parents about it, and I was really grateful that they supported it. I was put into singing lessons, dancing and acting, and from then until now I'm still doing it. I mean, I just want to grow into my craft, but basically I started with Disney.
Mostly white men. I don't really know. I mean, I think a lot of it is just being being a kid with wild imagination, and it's just how you're born. I think I've always been that kid who's had a wild imagination, so I've always been into storytelling. Somewhere along the way, I started watching old movies, and I fell in love with like Brando and De Niro and James Dean and all these Jack Nicholson, and a lot of it was just watching old movies. I remember the first time I saw Rebel Without a Cause. I was 12, 13 years old, and I had borrowed it from a library. And I remember I watched it, and I remember recognizing that what he was doing in that movie was different from anything else that I'd seen on TV. At the time, you're watching TV, and there's really no great acting, right? And you're watching action, movies on the big screen. And I was like, there's something, and him being a teenager, I identified with that, and there was something so interesting and rich and powerful and present about that performance I think that was the first time where I was like, he's doing something different. He's literally just behaving on camera, and they happen to catch it. That was a bit of a seminal moment for me, you know. But you know, I mean, as an Asian American kid in this country, I didn't grow up with a lot of minority heroes on the big screen, you know, other than obviously Bruce Lee and Jet Li and John Lone and, you know, some of the other more theater kind of like actors. But on the big screen, you know, it was mostly white men.
Oh God. I was 12 years old and I watched this movie called The Gamer with Gerard Butler and Logan Lerman. And I had a huge crush on Logan Lerman. So I told myself I could only meet him and marry him and be his wife if I got into the acting industry. So I took acting lessons and I gave up after 2 years. I was just like, nah, this is nothing for me. And I got into writing. And then I don't know what oh yeah, my theater teacher came to me in high school and she asked me if I could help her with the production. I was just like, you know, sure, I have time. So I did it, and then I was on stage, and then I don't know, it made me so happy to be up there and to tell a story and to make the audience feel something so they could escape their normal life. And that experience just reminded me, I don't know, my love for acting that I had a couple of years back. So I pursued acting in London and in Hamburg for a while, and then I wanted to get more into movie and TV because I was very bound on theater over there. And I asked my mom, and my mom was totally against it. She was like, never. Because it's so far away from Hamburg. I'm from Hamburg, I'm German. And it was so far away from there. But I guess I convinced her because I wrote down like how much it will cost and, you know, what I will fill my days with and all of that. And yeah, and now I'm here. I'm trying to pursue my dream to, you know, be remembered and to make people escape reality and, yeah, let my inner child live and, you know, be creative.